In Mark chapter 3, beginning with verse 7, we read, Jesus withdrew with his disciples to the sea, and a great crowd followed from Galilee and Judea and Jerusalem and Idumea and from beyond the Jordan and from around Tyre and Sidon. When the great crowd heard all that he was doing, they came to him, and he told his disciples to have a boat ready for him because of the crowd, lest they crush him, for he had healed many, so that all who had diseases pressed around him to touch him. And whenever the unclean spirits saw him, they fell down before him and cried out, "You are the Son of God!" And he strictly ordered them not to make him known. So much in this passage from Mark is familiar from some of the other stories that he's already told to help us to know Jesus. We see Jesus here attracting a great crowd as he has both the power and the compassion to heal the sick and to cast out demons. We see here Jesus' personal characteristics as he chooses to go by the sea. He's somebody who loves the beach. We see the humility and focus of Jesus as he orders that his identity as the Son of God not be made known, because there's a greater purpose that he's at work fulfilling, and he doesn't want to be distracted from that. Yet in this particular story, there's some new elements introduced that help us to know Jesus better. For one thing, we see the crowds becoming larger than they've ever been before. Instead of simply attracting all of the sick and the afflicted in a given locality, now people are coming from all over the geographic area of Israel and those areas nearest to it, seeking him out and all coming to Jesus at this one particular place. Yet as Jesus' ministry reached this point of unprecedented attention, larger crowds than he's ever had before, notice that Jesus still stays focused on his mission. Notice how Jesus prepares himself to not be crushed by the immediate demands of the moment, but to ensure that he has the space he needs to fulfill what God ultimately wants done. That's what we see Jesus doing when, knowing that this great crowd is coming, he has his disciples get a boat ready so that he won't be crushed. Appreciate Jesus didn't resent the crowds as everybody came to him, wanting him to fix their problems for him. Appreciate that Jesus didn't turn the crowds away, tell them, "Come back another day, I can't help you." No, Jesus took responsibility to create space for himself. He saw this time of busyness coming. He anticipated the toll it could take on him, how it could prevent him from accomplishing what God actually sent him to do. So he created space to not be crushed. He still showed compassion. He still used his power to help the hurting people that needed him, but he set limits. He created boundaries, and not just for any reason, to make sure that he was able to fulfill what his Father had sent him to do. As we witness that about Jesus, consider what that means for us as his followers, especially as we come upon a busy season. This time of the year is certainly full of joy and celebration and great times of getting together, but it's also a time where we can fill our calendars with different activities and parties, parades, and get-togethers. And the challenge for us as followers of Jesus is not to get to a place where we resent all the things that are going on, where we've poured ourselves out so completely that we have to start saying no to what God wants us to do because we have nothing left, but to create some space, to anticipate the pressing that's coming, and to not allow ourselves to get to that point where we're crushed, but to prioritize appropriately what it is God wants us to do. To not just let ourselves get so deep in just responding to all the things that people are asking of us, but to truly prioritize based on what will give God the greatest glory, to create some buffer in our schedule, in our lives, to allow that to happen first, while still being available to those around us, while still showing compassion and trying to meet folks as best as we can, but with the proper priority. This is who Jesus is. This is how Jesus operated. He poured himself out every day for the good of others, but he also set boundaries. He also created space. He didn't allow himself to get crushed, and he didn't make it somebody else's responsibility. He didn't resent the crowds for coming to him with so many demands. He took responsibility for himself to make sure he put first things first, that he had created the space that was needed for him to do what God wanted done. And as we feel the pressure in our own lives, if we as his followers will learn that about him, if we'll learn that from him, then even when we're coming through times where it seems like there's just so much expected and even demanded of us, we'll be able to come through still full of peace, full of joy, and confident that we're accomplishing what God has put us here to do first and foremost.